When we're looking at lighting, we're going to measure in lux. A lux is a lumen per meter squared. That's how bright something is. But here's the thing. If we go too bright, and we're going to call that 500 or greater lux, people move faster and leave sooner. Think about a place like Walmart or an airport. They're always bright. You're rushing through. Contrast that to someplace dark, cozy, intimate. You're going to just walk slower. You're going to be less agitated. So anything over 500 lux is going to be bad in a bar. What's our target? 150 to 300. Now, this is going to depend on the zone that you're in. And by zone, I mean, like, where on the planet are you? How bright is it outside? What are people used to for their lighting given the season even? Because I think most of us know that live in places like Indiana, where I am, where it's been pretty dreary. The sun came out today and I'm like, oh shit, it's bright. Because the sun came out for the first time in weeks. In those cases, I'm going to expect a little bit darker lighting when I go into an establishment, as opposed to in the middle of summer when the sun's out all the time and I expect a little bit brighter lighting because I'm used to the brighter lights. So if you're in Colorado in the winter where it's normally sunny versus Indiana in the winter where it's normally cloudy, you're probably going to adjust your lights a little bit differently. But that 150 to 300 lux range is where most people are going to feel comfortable. When it comes to sound, now sound is an interesting one too, because with sound, if I want a club environment, if I'm having a high, intense, fun, really strong party vibe going on, I'm going to want my sound higher. But generally speaking, anything above about 75 decibels is going to raise people's stress. For roughly every 10 decibels above 72 decibels, you're going to cut minutes off your dwell time. So if your music's too loud, you're probably going to have people dwell less. Now, obviously, if you're trying to create that party environment on a Friday or Saturday night, that's a different thing than what I'm talking about here. But I think we've all been to the bar where it's 2 o'clock on a Tuesday and there's 3 people there and the music is so loud you can't think. That's what I'm really referring to. So sometimes we want loud sound, but oftentimes we want to match where people are. And that's right, not higher than 72 decibels, 70 decibels. Really, the sound should scale with the sound of your restaurant or your bar. And in my opinion, unless I'm trying to create that party atmosphere, I want the music just a little bit quieter than the crowd noise. So if my crowd is at 60 decibels, I want the music at like 58. If my crowd's at 75 decibels, I want my music in 72, 73 decibel range. Now, you can get meters for this, but you can also kind of hear, is the music way louder than the people? If it is, turn it down a little bit. If it's not, turn it up a little bit. And then let's talk temperature. The comfort zone for most people is going to be 68 to 72 degrees. Outside that range, your dwell time is going to drop. People are not going to spend as much time in your bar because they're uncomfortable. And we see this all the time, especially for some reason in summer. You go into places and there's 65 degrees because the air conditioners are cranked. And a lot of times that's because the staff is complaining that they are hot. Well, I'm sorry to say this, if you're working in a kitchen, if you're running around with plates stacked up your arm, carrying trays, running around doing a bunch of physical work, you're going to be warmer than your guests who are sitting still. But I also think it's important to remember, we don't adjust temperature for our team to be comfortable. We adjust temperature for our staff or for our guests to be comfortable. So you want to find that balance, but that 68 to 72 range is pretty much where you want to live, assuming you're not in a place with very extreme temperatures or have some local reason why you wouldn't do that. For example, if you're in a place that's really cold and a lot of people are wearing clothes to be outside where it's really cold, you probably don't want it quite 68 because that might be a little bit hot for your guests, but you can figure that out, right? This is pretty logical stuff here. Now, to give you an idea of what this can do to your ROI when we get the lighting, the sound, and the temperature correct, well, your ROI is pretty high.